Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to Alexis Faye Yoga. I am so very glad that you've decided to join me today. Today's class, we are doing a yoga sculpt for lower body movement, flexibility, and mobility. So let's hop into it. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another week of yoga. Sending that right foot back. We are going to start in our Tadasana, bringing ankles under knees, under hips. We'll pick up the toes, spread them out nice and wide, and set them down. Lift the shoulders up to the ears, rotate them back and down the spine. Palms turn forward. Gently pull the head back so the ears are over the shoulders. We'll close the eyes and take a few deep breaths as we press down through the toes. As we start to calm our energy and slow down our breath. With our next breath in, we'll reach the arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, taking the arms out wide, swan diving the chest forward. And now we'll wiggle out here. Lifting one heel up off the mat, we'll rotate the hip out to our side. Come back in, drop the heel down, other side. Lift the heel, rotate the hip, and wiggle around. Now maybe moving our weight forward and back into our toes, and then lifting our toes, pressing through the heels. With our next inhale, we'll find a halfway lift, engaging the core, taking the eyes straight out in front. Exhale, fold. This time dropping chin to chest and top of the head down. Again, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Putting as much bend to the knees as we need to drop the hands to the floor. We'll take our stance from a forward fold to a wide-legged forward fold. So heel toeing the feet out so they are about 2 to 3 times hips distance apart. We can have the feet parallel to one another, or we can turn the toes out so the heels are in, toes are out. Finding a place that's not too much tension on the knees. And we can wiggle around here, adding a bend to one leg and to the other, maybe swaying the upper body or wiggling out the hips. Now we'll take the hands one step or one hand's distance further out in front of the chest. With our exhale, we'll soften the chest forward. Inhale, rolling up the spine, taking the eyes out in front. Exhale, soften the chest down towards the legs. Bring chin to chest and roll up. So we're finding some spinal waves. Inhale, halfway lift. We can keep the hands down and tent onto the fingertips, or we can bring the hands to the legs. Exhale, fold, hands go back to the floor, heel toe the feet in, and back to our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Reverse swan diving the arms, dropping them down and lifting up from the chest. Arms reach to the ceiling. Exhale, bringing hands to heart center. Take a full breath. Wiggle it out. Now we'll start making our way to the top of our mat. With an inhale, reaching up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Dropping the hands down to the floor, we'll step our way back to a plank. Spread those fingertips out wide, press down. This will give us nice space across the collarbones and help take some of the weight out of our wrist when we really press down with the ends of our fingertips. Now shifting forward slightly so we can rotate those elbows into the rib cage. Exhale, chaturanga to lower. To a cobra. Lifting the trunk with an inhale. Exhale, press the hips up and back behind. Down dog. Wiggle out. We'll extend our left leg back behind, reaching with the toes. Bending at the knee as we shift forward, shoulders over wrist, and then we'll step that left foot down. Full breath in, even larger breath back out. So now we are in our lunge, or our high lunge. We can drop our right knee down if we'd like, or we can keep it up. But we'll move into a lizard pose. So both hands will move to the inside of that left foot. We can walk the foot out further towards the outside or the left side of our mat. We can let the foot roll to the outer edge of our pinky toe, or any other variation that we need to give the hips a nice amount of space. We're focused on softening through the hips and maybe keeping the chest up. To continue to wiggle out in poses like this, to find some movement, to notice what feels good, or how my flexibility changes depending on what muscles are being targeted. Good. We'll press into our hands. Now, if our feet are pretty far apart and we can't find any movement from here, we'll slide our foot back a little bit so we could push equally through both feet. With an inhale, we'll reach the left arm up to the ceiling, finding a little twist. And now our back foot, our right foot, will rotate down to the side of the foot as we drop our right hip down. Now, finding a place for that left foot to be, it will probably shift down closer towards our right foot, down towards the end of the mat, just to give us a little more space, and so that we can press down with that left foot. Once we are feeling nice and stable and able to press through our left foot, as well as through the side of our right foot, we will press into our right hand and our left leg. Lift the hip up off the mat. The left arm can go straight up to the ceiling, or up towards the top of our mat. Palm will face down towards the floor. Exhale, sweep the arm down towards our back of the mat or our right foot as we drop the hip down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. We'll do one more. Good. Drop that hip down. Now, our right arm will come down to the floor so we can press into it. And again, wiggle out that left foot wherever it needs to be. You might like to hold on to it, but that's not necessary. We will point our right toes down the back of our mat. With an inhale, lift the right leg and drop it down. Now, as we lift the right leg, we are squeezing both of our thighs together. This will help us to find mobility in this pose, to find the right muscle groups in this pose to work, and it'll also keep us from willy-nilly wiggling that leg around. We're not rotating from the hip. When we're squeezing the thighs together, we're lifting and lowering, engaging and relaxing. Good. Drop the right leg down. Our left leg, we can loop our peace sign, our pointer and middle finger around the big toe of our left foot. And we can maybe lengthen the left leg up towards the ceiling, maybe not. We might have a bend to the leg and that's okay. Or we might reach it up. Exhale, slowly let that leg come down to the floor. And we'll turn more onto our right side. So our right arm is down here to help us stay where we are. And we're going to do the same thing with the left leg. Lift and lower. Point the toes. And we're not going to rotate back, okay? We're going to stay where we are, nice and stable. So we're targeting our outer glute with this pose or with this movement. So we're not lifting the leg all the way up and back. That moves what areas we're working on. So the front of the foot should continue to stay open or pointed towards our left side of the mat. Two more. Good. Rotating so that our abdomen is to the floor. Wiggling around, finding the right place on our mat. We'll find a Sphinx pose. Bringing the elbows in towards the chest, palms face down to the floor, pressing down through the hip bones and the tops of the feet and through the palms. Lift the eyes and the top of the head up. Good. Slide the hands back so they're underneath the shoulders. We'll tuck the toes under and press up to a plank. Now from here we can go straight back to our down dog, or we can add that vinyasa, shifting forward, elbows in, chaturanga to lower, to an up dog or a cobra, and to our down dog. Wiggling out some more. And we'll extend our right leg back. Putting a bend to that right knee as we shift forward. Drop the foot down. Full breath in. Even larger breath back out. Good. Lizard pose on this side. So we can walk that right foot out towards the outer edge of our mat. Bringing both hands to the inside of our right foot. Softening the hips forward. And keeping the chest up. Keep in mind, we always have that option to drop the left leg down, if that'll help you soften the hips a little more. Beautiful. Pressing down through both feet. With an inhale, we'll take our right arm towards the ceiling, putting a little twist. And now dropping the left foot down, the side of our left foot, reaching back and softening down. So wiggling out however feels right. I'll turn around. So our left leg is down the back of our mat. Our right foot is beside our hip or beside our thigh. Press into the left hand. With an inhale, we'll lift the hip up. Reach the hand up towards the top of our mat. Exhale, soften the hip down. Inhale to lift. Exhale to soften. 2 more. So this is a variation to kind of our side plank, as well as a little bit of a variation to our fallen angel. Exhale, drop the hip the rest of the way down. Good job. We'll bring our left arm to the floor to help stabilize us here. Pressing down into that left elbow. And adjusting the right foot wherever we need to be. Again, we can take our pointer and middle finger to the big toe to give us a little bit of mobility, a little bit of something to hold on to here. Pointing our left toes down the back of the mat with an inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Again, we're squeezing the quads, we're squeezing the inner thighs together to find that lift. We're not rotating anywhere, we're not moving any more than we need to. Drop the left leg down, we'll loop the right toe, and we can lift it up towards the ceiling. Again, if we have a bend in the knee, that's fine. Or we can reach it up. Exhale, we'll slowly start lowering that right leg down towards the floor. Good. Turning so that we are fully on our left side. So left hip is down to the floor. Our feet are stacked on top of each other. So again, we are targeting that outer glute of our right side. With an inhale, lifting the right leg up and dropping it down. So the top of our right foot is facing over to our side mat as we lift and lower. We're not rotating forward and back or doing any weird thing with the hip. We're targeting that outer glute. So if you can only lift up a little bit, that is better than doing some weird twisty to get us up higher. Drop the leg down, we'll roll over to our abdomen again. And back to a Sphinx pose. Pressing into the forearms and the hands. pressing into the hips and the top of the feet, lifting up through the crown and taking the eyes straight out in front. We'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders, tuck the toes, press up to our plank. Again, we can move straight back to our down dog, or we can move through that flow, shifting forward chaturanga to an up dog or a cobra, and back to our down dog. We'll extend the left leg back, shift forward, and step it down. This time we'll drop our right knee, finding a low lunge, untuck the right toes. With an inhale, shifting the arms up and the chest forward. We'll tuck the tailbone under before shifting forward. So we're focusing more on the hips and focusing on softening. From here, we're going to lift the heel of that left foot, that front foot, up off the mat. So we're moving forward onto the toes. Now we're using more strength and stability to hold us here instead of just flexibility. We can work on our flexibility all day long, but unless we build strength while we do it, it really doesn't do us much good. Exhale, drop the front heel down. We can shift the chest forward, either framing out with the foot with the hand or bringing both hands to the inside of our left foot. We're going to lift our right foot up off the mat. We can point it up towards the ceiling or up towards the head, and we can stay here. This is perfectly great. Feeling a stretch across the front of our right quad, or we can reach our hand back, our right hand back towards the toes, and add a little bit more pressure. We're not trying to force it here. We're just trying to find a beautiful stretch, a little bit of work, and some strengthening while we're doing it. Exhale, slowly releasing that right foot back. Pressing into both hands. And now if we're framing out the foot with the hands, we can tuck the back toes under, lift our left leg to the chest, and send it back three-legged dog. If our foot is on the outside of the hands, we can shift into the hands, lift the leg, and then send it back three-legged dog. Dropping the left leg down and wiggle out. We'll extend the right leg back and bring it forward. Step that right foot down, full breath in. Even larger breath back out. Drop the left knee down, untuck the toes. Set up, tuck the hips under, and low lunge. We can take the arms up to the ceiling. Now lifting the heel of our right foot up off the mat. So again, we're adding more strength and stability work to this pose now. And drop our right heel back down to the floor. Shift the chest forward, and we can either frame out our right foot or bring both hands to the inside of our right foot. We'll pick up our left foot, point the toes up. And again, we can stay here. This is awesome. Feeling a stretch. Or we can reach the left hand back and gently add a little more pressure. We'll slowly start dropping our left foot down, pressing into the hands, extending the back leg towards straight and up off the mat. We'll extend our right leg back and around three-legged dog to our down dog. We'll slide the hands one hand's distance in towards the toes, putting more of a bend to the knees so we can press through the hands up and back through the hips. And we'll start shifting forward, shoulders over the wrists. Knees will come down either to the mat or to hover over the mat. We'll drop the knees the rest of the way down. Untuck the toes. Inhale. Eyes and tailbone will go up. We'll drop the stomach towards the floor. Exhale, arching the back, tucking chin and to chest and tailbone under, pressing into the hands. We'll move back and forth with our cat-cows. And back through our tabletop. We'll walk our hands into the hips so we can sit on the heels. Now keep in mind, if this is uncomfortable for your knees, you can always tuck the toes under or sit on a pillow. We'll sit nice and tall through the spine. Good. Now dropping the hands down behind us. And we'll start walking the hands back. So this is our hero pose. And if you can only get your hands back a little ways, that is awesome. This is such a great stretch for up the tops of the quads. Now, if you're someone who can do a full hero pose, that's awesome. And you can do that as well. Now, however far we're in this pose, we'll start walking the elbows in, walking the hands in to lift us back up gently and carefully out of this pose. We'll twist the legs around so they are now in front of us and we are seated on the floor. Give the legs a nice wiggling out. And we'll drop the hands down behind us. We can put a little bit of weight into the hands. We'll point the toes up to the ceiling. And we're going to lift our left leg up off the mat and drop it down. Right leg up off the mat and drop it down. We'll go back and forth, lifting and lowering, trying to lift straight up and lower straight down. Seeing how controlled of a movement we can make this. So maybe going a little slower on our lower than on our lift, as we really target those quads and the hip flexors. Now, if you're saying, Alexis, this is pretty easy, or Alexis, I don't want to have my hands back behind me, we can lift up and bring the hands out in front and do the same thing. It'll add a little bit more core work to it, but either way is awesome, and we're still targeting those legs and the hip flexors. We're finding movement, mobility, and strength. Now we can continue moving like this, lifting and lowering straight up and down. Or we can find a rainbowing. Now again, hands can stay at center if you'd like. Lift the left leg, open towards our left side, and back in towards center. Right leg up, open to our side, and back to center. Or we can keep the hands back behind us. We're working on the legs. Anything extra is amazing. Now with our lift and lower, we're trying to make a beautiful rainbow shape. Up and over, up and over. And we'll do one more on each side. Good, and back in. Wiggle the legs out. Now, walking the heels forward to help us turn the pelvis under and back behind us. So we're finding a little bit of forward momentum. If that isn't something that you're feeling or noticing in your body, you can always sit on a block or a pillow and rotate to the front edge of it, so you're kind of falling off the front edge, and that'll help you get that same tucking movement, that same forward motion, and is just great for mobility work if you can't feel it in just your body. Now we can grab for the feet or shift the chest forward, wiggling out the legs. And with our next inhale, we'll lift our way back up. Again, taking the hands back behind us. We'll bring the bottoms of the feet down to the floor and then walk the feet to the outer edges of our mat. Windshield wipering the legs back and forth. And we'll take the knees back up, heel toe the feet in line with the hips. Sit tall through the spine. We'll take the arms on either side of the legs and do a little boat pose before we finish today. We can keep the ends of our tippy toes down on the floor. We can take our shins parallel to the floor, or we can extend the legs fully out, finding a variation here. That's challenging, but is not ego-driven. We'll slowly start extending out before moving all the way to the floor. Reaching arms overhead, pointing the toes out in front of the body, full body stretch. Now we can stay like this with the arms overhead, or we can bring the arms alongside the body, making our way to a comfortable pose, whatever that means in your body today. And we'll start closing the eyes. and bringing our attention to the breath. We'll take large breaths in through the nose and let them go out the mouth or out as a sigh. Repeating this process of large breaths in and even larger breaths back out, pushing out the breath, fully letting it go before we start fresh with a new breath in. We'll take another large breath in through the nose. So you start to wiggle out the fingers and the toes. Now when you feel ready, go ahead and roll to one side. And we'll take our moment of gratitude here. Thank yourself for coming to your mat today, for taking this time out of your busy day to refocus, to move your body, to challenge yourself, and to grow in both your awareness of yourself and your love of yourself. Now you can give yourself a nice big mental hug, or you're at home, you can give yourself a big physical hug. And we can start making our way to seated. We'll close the eyes one last time, softening the shoulders away from the ears as we lift tall through the top of the head. We'll take a large breath in through the nose and let it go as a sigh. Thank you so very much for joining me today. It is always such a joy and an honor to get to spend this time with you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this. And go in love, go in light, and go in peace.